Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. And today we have Marvel Studios assembled Loki Season 1. This is, of course, not season... It doesn't know that it's just going to be for Season 1, I guess, at this point, because there's a separate making of Season 2, which we've already watched. We've already reviewed that in a previous episode. Oh, God, I don't know how many months ago. But we've done a lot of these recently because there are an awful lot of them, and as new things get released, Marvel keeps making more of them, and they're all about an hour long. This one is an hour and 5 minutes long. It's from 2021. This was released that same year, and I have already watched this just because I love the show that much. I really, first of all, I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and the character of Loki, and I also love time travel type things, stories and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to see behind the scenes of this right after it was over. As soon as this thing was made and put on Disney Plus, I watched it, and I watched it again tonight, and I only realized that about halfway through. I'm like, this sounds really familiar. Have I heard all of these stories before? Yeah, I have. But still, it was great to revisit it, because this is the kind of show for me I could watch over and over and over again. It not only adds to the greater tapestry of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it also stands on its own. Yes, yeah, you kind of want to have already been a fan and have watched the previous films or series and things like that feed into it. But even if you didn't, you can still enjoy this for what it is. You might be utterly confused as to who Loki is, why he is the way he is, but it's still, go all the way through, watch everything through Endgame, or at least everything with Loki in it, which is like at least a half dozen films, all the Thors to that point, and of course the Avengers films and things like that. But yeah, it's yeah, he was in pretty much a good chunk of the Marvel Universe, even though he wasn't on screen a lot prior to this series, 2 seasons worth, and at this point, I don't even know if they know they're getting a second season. They know that by the end of this, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though the person who would watch this and me talking about a documentary about a series would probably have already watched the series, I'm thinking. So I shouldn't really have to worry about spoiling anything for anybody. Watch these documentaries. Again, maybe you're not into these things. I am totally about behind the scenes making of documentaries about the things I love. I'll watch a Back to the Future documentary as much as a Star Wars documentary, as much as anything in the Marvel Universe, because I love those things. And this, of course, they go through the same normal things: the costuming, the stunts and fight choreography, the set design, the story foundations. But it's narrated by Tom himself, by Tom Hiddleston, which you don't normally get that with a lot of the actors who do movies. You're not necessarily getting a documentary about any of these other movies or TV series where the main star pretty much lays out the story from their point of view. In fact, it almost feels like, he's really well spoken. He's really well spoken, and it's almost not like it's scripted. Normally these things are scripted, but the way he delivers all this as he's talking about the way the Marvel Universe and how Loki and everything else is, woven its way together to reach this point, sounds natural to me. Maybe I'm easily fooled. I don't know, but that's one of the great things about this, is that Tom has this immense passion for the character and his place in the MCU. Even when, yes, his characters died many times, or it's assumed that he died many times, and even when he was dead, when he was literally killed in Infinity War, in Avengers Infinity War, at the beginning of the film, it kind of, that was, is it the end? No, it was beginning, but I got confused with whether it was Endgame or if it was Infinity War. But it is Infinity War. So you're taking one of the big players off the table. You kill the character. How does he get a series? Well, that's part of the magic of this. It doesn't undo the death. He literally did die in Avengers Infinity War, and he is also still alive. And it helps broaden the storytelling of what is going to soon become the multiverse. Now, obviously, this is the kind of thing that if you would want to watch this kind of, well, you want to watch the Loki series, as well as the making of, because, it feeds into so much else that is coming. Not just, the recent Wolverine and Deadpool last year. TVA is part of that. The entire aesthetic and some of the characters from Loki appear in Marvel, in Deadpool and Wolverine. It just helps. I think if anybody skipped the Loki series and saw Deadpool and Wolverine, they might have been a little confused as to what all this time bureaucracy thing was all about. Don't know. And then there was, then of course, everything that's coming with Secret Wars and all the multiverse stuff. And we've seen stuff even in Marvel's alternate realities. We've seen things with Doctor Strange. We've seen things with Spider-Man, No Way Home. All of these things are just building upon each other, expanding. And of course, it's going to reach a fever pitch at some point in the next few years, especially with the arrival of Doom. Yeah, it's going to be madness. And of course, the Fantastic Four this summer. That's going to be another component of this, because, little spoiler, again, this is a 100% assumption just from everything I know. The Fantastic Four takes place in another reality than our MCU proper. It's just, to somebody like me, it's a given. If it's somehow the same universe, it doesn't make any sense. There has to be a huge story component in there that has to make sense of that, but I don't know how. But either way, all these things build to something pretty freaking crazy, and this is a humongous part of it, especially by the time you reach the end of this series at the end of season 2. This is not about that. We've already discussed season 2, but what I love about this is the passion the characters have, the new and existing. I mean, Tom's pretty much the only one who has been playing Loki for more than 10 years at the time this was released. By the way, filmed during COVID. During that time, they started filming in February of 2020. Yeah, and then everything just went to hell after that. So they're in Atlanta, shooting a bunch of stuff on sets and some outdoors, but it's got to be crazy. It's got to be a whole. This is one of the many shows that and movies that were made during that time that had a extra layer of tension on top of everything else. Like, can we even be doing this? Do we stop completely? And so, yeah, it's one of those things that I think, while some people see this, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is sort of in a flux state right now, not at its peak, let's say. This is one of the things that I think is my favorite that has come through with flying colors, and it's something that I can't imagine anybody having negative thoughts about it unless they just don't understand it. I don't know. So yeah, we get to see the characters. We get to see see the actors. We see Owen Wilson and everybody else just talking about becoming part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with brand new characters that most of us aren't even aware of unless you read the comics. And even then, these characters are not even exact one-to-one matches with the characters that that exist in the comic books. Especially Sylvie, who is an amalgamation of a number of different types of characters in the comics, but is very much a variant of Loki. So, sorry, that's a spoiler if you didn't watch the show already. I don't know why you'd be watching me talk about that if you haven't watched Loki. But if you're not sure if you want to watch any of this series on Disney Plus, but you've watched the movies and stuff, I highly recommend this series, and then watching the documentaries. Just how they get made are just fantastic. One of the sad parts about this, though, is as they take it kind of almost episode by episode of the evolution, talking about the characters and what they put in to each of the individual stories and the sets and the arcs of each of these characters, how they work against each other and work with each other, and how the evolution of Loki throughout it comes to a boiling point at the end of time against how do I say his? I've already forgotten his proper name. Why is it He Who Remains? Yeah, I was about to say He Who Cannot Be Named, and that's a totally different movie franchise and book franchise. But no, He Who Remains, of course, we know is Kang, time-traveling conqueror. Well, Jonathan Majors plays him in this final episode of the season and also makes an appearance in the second season. Unfortunately, he's not going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore, whether they wanted him to or not. Well, whether we wanted him to or not. Just because... Come on. He's made some life choices that were not exactly great and that came back to bite him in the butt. So, and Marvel didn't want to have anything to do with it. So, this is probably our last time, well, other than season 2, seeing He Who Remains. We saw him in Quantum Mania as well, which sort of introduced the character. Well, no, didn't. He was first introduced here, and then in Quantum Mania. Either way, that's one of the biggest disappointments because I like Jonathan Majors as this character. I like him as an actor. Maybe he's not so great of a person. I can't really judge that personally. I don't know the man, but it's a huge disappointment that we're going to have to sort of reset, in a sense, Kang in some way. Yeah, sure, the movie that had Kang in its title, the Avengers film that had Kang in its title, is gone now and is replaced by Doom, which is a logical step, but it's still going to be something that's going to have to... Hey, you have to handhold a number of the casual viewers into this step, to this next phase. I would have liked to have seen Jonathan Majors at least do the Kang thing for a while, but no. I mean, I understand why the choice they made, but yeah, it's sad to me. So, get used to him while you can in these two seasons, and also in Quantum Mania and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. But yeah, I liked all of these actors. I like the story it tells. I like the evolution of Loki, and this gives us a peek behind the scenes with a lot of humor and a lot of we get to see the passion that Tom has for the character, his knowledge of the character. He trains everybody who's new to the set, the new actors, as to what this is all about. He knows the character and speaks eloquently about him more than anybody does about their character. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, okay? He's Tony Stark. And I don't think he's the one who kind of started all of this. There's nothing, I don't think he has that same level of passion to Iron Man or, dedication to Iron Man. Not saying he doesn't at all. I just don't know if he has that level of, that deep level of understanding of the character that Tom does for Loki, which is borne out here. It's fantastic to see. So, definitely give it a shot if you love these kind of documentaries and such, but other than that, just go watch the series. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 227, almost at the very end. And it's also an old TV show. I hate to say it's an old TV show, but yes, it is a thing. Oh my. Whew. This is a movie that has been on and off Disney Plus for a while. And it's a Disney film. It's not even like brought over from 20th Century Fox or connected through some other studio. It is a Disney film. And yet they've had a hard time keeping it for some reason, due to whatever broadcast deals. I don't know. But when I checked a few months back, it was not on Disney Plus. Last time I checked, it was, and that's why I added it to the list. And this is Tomorrowland. Yes, it's a movie that's based on an entire section of the Disney parks. And if I come back here in a second and I tell you it's gone again, well, then I have to pick another number. But other than that, Tomorrowland is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. Bye.